Good morning. I had a pretty good sleep last night, but I didn't get to bed until about 11 because I was up repairing this seat. It had blown out along the edge here and I needed to sew it and glue it back together. It was kind of a stressful evening. I was multitasking, getting the camp set up and cooking dinner, filtering water, and fixing the seat all at the same time, so I didn't get any video. It was a beautiful night though. The stars were out, there wasn't a cloud in the sky. Today looks the same, there's no cloud. So it's a bit cool here. It's very humid because I'm right beside the river. There was lots of condensation last night and everything's a bit damp. I hung up some stuff to dry and it's just as wet 8 hours later. But that's what you get when you camp right beside a river. So I'm having a slow morning today. It's already after 8 a.m. I haven't even taken the tent down. I just brewed some coffee and it's kind of the moment of truth. I need to inflate this thing and see if my repair job worked. So here's hoping. Well, that seems to have worked. It's holding air. That's the repair job. It's pretty ugly, but this whole seat was pretty ugly to begin with. It was just thrown together at the last minute. And evidently I didn't do a perfect heat sealing job on this edge because over time it just peeled apart. But that's okay. Hopefully this repair will hold up. I'll try sitting on it now. This gravel bar that I camped on last night is full of elk tracks. There's one there. There's another one. Last night, these ones were fresh. It was dry all around, but in the middle was kind of wet. So they're around. So I'm not sure how this river travel is going to go today. There's not a ton of water in the river, and I knew that might be a problem. This isn't actually even part of my original route. In fact, none of what you've seen so far, except the first half of day one, was part of my original plan. Because of the pandemic, the West Coast Trail, which is a national park on the west side of Vancouver Island, is closed for the season. And they made it very clear that it's illegal to even set foot in that part of the park. And so I have rerouted through the central part of the island, which is what you've been watching me do. And one of the unknowns about that route is this river. There's no information online about anyone paddling down it that I could find anyway. I know that there's a short section of about 2 kilometers that people like to tube down, like drift down in inner tubes, but that doesn't really mean anything when it comes to paddling. So it might be a lot of wasted effort if I have to walk most of it, because I'll be getting in and out of my Packraft 100 times an hour, and it would be much quicker just to walk along the road. But so far it looks really beautiful, so I'm going to give it a good try and hopefully I'll be able to make some headway. We shall see. If it proves too difficult, then I'll just reevaluate. Then I might bail out at some point. But ideally I would be able to make the whole 13-kilometer stretch between here and my takeout point, where I'll have to do another road walk. So I'd really rather not walk the whole way on the road. So wish me luck, and I'll update you as things change. Well, after the first couple kilometers, I think it's worthwhile to continue on down the river. I'm averaging a moving speed of 3.4 kilometers an hour, which is slower than walking on a road, but it's about twice as fast as bushwhacking and much more enjoyable. This is beautiful. I do have to hop out of the Packraft pretty often, and I'm scraping down the shallows, but that's why I didn't bring an ultralight Packraft. I brought my Skeena, which is more durable, and I don't have to worry about scraping down these little riffles. I just put my feet up on the tubes and kind of arch my back to lift my weight off of the seat. That distributes my weight all over the tubes and makes the floor not sag down, so it minimizes the draft. And that seems to be working most of the time, so I'm going to continue on. Just look at how high the water comes. That's a gravel bar deposited by the river, probably 4 meters tall. So when this river gets raging in the winter, maybe in the spring, the water is filling this whole channel, and those lower bushes are probably submerged. I've come to this canyon. I can't tell how far it goes. It extends as far as I can see, so I'm gonna try walking down it with the Packraft inflated, and hopefully it's not too far. The river is just beautiful. I'm seeing little trout swimming as I drift down. The water is not too cold. It's pretty cold, but it's bearable, and it's actually quite refreshing. Oh, a little fish just jumped right there. The trout are maybe half a pound. Not very big that I've seen so far. If the canyon continues too far, then I'm gonna have to walk around it, deflate the Packraft, and go through the bush, I guess. But I'll try to get past it here. Well, I've been at this canyoneering for a while. It's a bit more than I bargained for, but I'm managing to get by. It's really beautiful, but it's slow going, so I don't know how much progress I'm gonna make today. The canyon still extends as far as I can see that way behind me now. Probably been at this an hour, and I've maybe covered half a kilometer. So I'll see what's around that corner and reevaluate. I don't think I can get past this cliff without deflating the Packraft. I could just throw it in the river and pick it up down there. It probably wouldn't go very far, but I don't want it to get wrapped around something, and it might just, you know, bad things can happen when you do that. So I'm gonna deflate it and try and climb up here and around. Getting past there was difficult. I don't want to go back that way. So I've reached a difficult point here. Up until now, it's been quite a scramble, but there have always been nice positive holds. But this section right in here is just covered in moss, and all the holds are kind of sloping away from the face, and it just seems like an unnecessary risk to try and cross that. It's only a few meters, but I'm all alone out here, and I promised that I wouldn't be doing stuff like that, so I'm gonna retreat, hopefully make my way up into the bush and get around this little section, and I'll see what the rest of the canyon is like. That's where I just came from, and I have to go back a little ways anyway in order to be able to get up into the forest up there. Rocks are slippery. There's some kind of slime growing on them. Okay, I'm saying goodbye to the river for now. I might return farther downstream. For now, I'm all suited up in my bushwhacking gear, and I'm heading up into this mess. Often the easiest path through the bush is on top of a log. It's like a viaduct through the forest. And these ones are so big, I'm not worried about falling off. Oh, more huckleberries. These ones are red. Just back there I found a patch of blue ones. They're delicious. I was just consulting the topographic map, and it looks like that canyon continues for at least another kilometer. It's after 2:30 in the afternoon, and I've only gone less than 6 kilometers today. It's a pretty slow pace. There's a road nearby, so I'm gonna bushwhack up to the road. It's just a little farther that way, and I'll do some road walking for a bit, and then I'll get closer to the river, and then I'll take a look there and reevaluate. It looks like the topography is much less steep when the road reconnects with the river, so it might be easy paddling like it started out today, with just pools and then riffles that I need to walk over, but we'll see. Right now I'm really enjoying this forest. It's much nicer than the bushwhacking I did yesterday. There is a bit of undergrowth, but it's totally manageable. I can see my feet when I'm walking, and there are these giant old growth logs that have fallen down, and they make great pathways. And the ones that are still standing are just gorgeous. So I made it to the road, stripped off my extra layers, and I'm still sweating like a pig, but I'm making good progress now. The only downside is I don't have any water. I had water this morning, but as I was paddling down the river, I didn't need to carry much. And then as I started climbing out, I realized I didn't have any water, but it was too sketchy to turn around and go back down and get some, so I think I have an hour and a half now to the next spot where there's likely gonna be any water, so I'm gonna suffer. Every time a car goes by, there's a big cloud of dust that comes up, and I'm already parched. It's still beautiful, and there's not much traffic. I've only seen, I think, 3 cars in the 15 minutes I've been walking, so can't really complain. So about 5 minutes after I said it would be probably an hour and a half till the next water source, I came across a bridge with water running under it. So that was a pleasant surprise. I had seen the stream on the map, but it was so short I didn't think there would be any water running in August. But there was, and it was delicious. So I filtered 1.5 liters and drank a good portion of it, and I feel much better. And now I'm walking along this road. It's not too bad. Maybe a car every 5 or 10 minutes, so could be worse. Well, I made it to the river, and compared to what I left, this looks pretty inviting. I have to decide if I'm gonna drift down here in the Packraft or walk the road, and I think it would be rude not to go down the river, especially because I have a long road walk tomorrow. So I'm going to enjoy this river while I can. Hopefully it won't turn into another canyon farther down, but the topography on the map looks like it should be pretty gentle, so here's hoping. See, I think this was worth it. It's a little bit better than a road walk. Well, I've been drifting slowly down the river. I just wanted to take a break and stop and show you this log. Anywhere else, this would be a pretty big tree. That's that one. Now look at this one. That is a big old spruce. Well, I've come as far as I intended to on the river. It's after 7 p.m. I'm gonna set up camp just over there on the gravel bar. And then I'll start tomorrow with a bushwhack up through the forest there to the road. it's not too far away. But this way I can get the Packraft put away tonight and it'll be ready to go in the morning. It'd be nice to keep paddling down the river, but there are still some spots that are too shallow to paddle, and as good as these water shoes are, my feet are suffering. So I'm going to take them off and dry my feet, get a meal of food into me, and set up camp. Well, that was awesome. A bear just walked from there over to there. I only had a couple minutes left on this memory card, so that was lucky. I heard something crashing around over there in the bush, and I thought it was an elk because this gravel bar that I'm camped on, like the one last night, is covered in elk prints. But so I got the camera out when I heard it, and then it was a bear. Hope he stays on that side of the river, because I'm about to cook dinner. Whoa, bear! I don't know if you can see him because it's kind of dusk now, but I don't know if it's the same bear or a different one. Came from the opposite direction, but it's just forded the river there. And then it started coming towards me, so I started yelling at it. Whoa, bear! I don't have my other camera on me with the zoom, so that's all you get. I was just boiling water for my dinner. I had just lit the stove, and because I saw the other bear, I walked downstream a fair ways, and I was gonna make my food here and eat it, and then hang my food in one of these trees back here. But I turned the stove off when I saw the bear coming over to this side of the river, because I wasn't sure what was going to happen. But when I started yelling at him, he kind of looked and thought about it for a minute, and then turned around and started going the other direction. So I'm going to turn the stove back on and get my hang set up and eat my food here, and make sure nothing in the tent is very smelly. I generally do that every night, but sometimes I'm just too tired and I end up sleeping with my food. But nearby there's a popular camping area, so the bears might be accustomed to people, and those are the ones you want to worry about. Because if they're habituated to people food, then they know what it smells like, and once they catch a whiff of it, they'll come looking. So I'm going to play it safe tonight. Well, I just scared myself. I was throwing my bear line over a branch up there, and the one that it went over was dead. So I thought I'd better give it a pull to make sure that it was going to hold. And as soon as I pulled on it, the whole branch came down. That's it right there. I don't know. There's nothing really for scale there. Not a huge branch, but maybe 20 feet long. And fortunately, I wasn't standing right underneath it. Let me try that again.